Hi, everybody. Hi. I think we're going to have to start calling these mystic moments instead of mystic Mondays because Mondays seem to be a hard day for me to jump on here, but I can do it in just random moments at any time. So I wanted to show everybody my cat named Epiphany, and Epiphany tomorrow at this time won't be here with me because Epiphany is going to be going to the Rainbow Bridge. So I just thought this would be a really good time. Two reasons. Because I can watch back and look at this and see her. And I can also sage, because I was talking about smudging, saging, cleansing, that I would do that the next time. So I really need a little bit of saging right now. And before Epiphany goes over, before we have to go to the vet's office tomorrow, I want to sage her. And so I'll tell you a little bit about Epiphany. This is Epiphany. She's blind in that eye. So Epiphany is about 17 years old, and I rescued her when she was 4. I fostered her for a little while, and then I rescued her. I adopted her. And she's been with me ever since then. And we have been inseparable. My kids didn't exactly care for her. Some of my family didn't care for her, and she didn't care for them either. And she was very protective over me. Epiphany was always watching from the sidelines, and she would make sure I was okay. And she was very territorial with me. And when I first saw her, I was with my daughter Brittany, and we were at PetSmart. And in PetSmart, that's where they have the rescue animals in the little kennels. And I always go in there to look at the cats. So I went in there with my daughter to look at the cats. We weren't even looking for a cat, but I kept saying everywhere we went, I had the name Epiphany in my mind. And I kept saying, when we get Epiphany, when my Epiphany comes to me, because I knew that I would find this little cat named Epiphany. And I was putting it out there that Epiphany was going to be a calico cat. That's what, in my mind's eye, that's what I saw. There was going to be a little Epiphany calico cat. And I kept looking for calico cats. There was never any. And then my daughter and I went to PetSmart one day, and we weren't even looking for a cat that day. We just went in there to look at the rescues. And in the rescues, we looked at all the cats, and there was one kennel that didn't have a cat in it, or so we thought. We couldn't see a cat in there. And one of the volunteer women were in there from, I don't even know what it was, Save a Pet maybe? And I was asking her, can you open this kennel? Because I want to see if there's a cat in there. And she said, no, there's not a cat in there. I'm here all the time. And look, there's no cat in there. And I said, I just have a feeling. Can you open that for me? So she said, okay. So she opened the door for me. And I said, well, what about in the little box? Is there a cat sleeping in the box? And she said, no, there's no food. There's nothing. There's no cat in here. We're waiting to fill it with somebody. And I said, I don't know. I just have a feeling. And so I was trying to reach the box. And she kind of moved the box a little bit in the back of the crate. And sure enough, came this little teeny tiny 2-pound little itty bitty skeleton of a cat that was so sick that they didn't even realize that she was in the kennel, in the little crate. They hadn't been giving her food. They hadn't been giving her water. And the volunteer worker said, "Oh my goodness, I didn't even know there was a cat there." And Epiphany came walking out, very weak. She was, like I said, about 4 years old, very weak, came walking out of her little crate and came and stepped right on my chest like she was supposed to be with me. And I looked at my daughter and I was holding her much the same way I am now. And my daughter said, "Oh, cool eyes," because my daughter was a teenager then. "Oh, cool eyes." I said, "That's it. We're keeping her. I want this cat." And she was very, very, very sick. They expected her to die. She was super, super sick. And I said, "She's not going to die. I'm going to take care of this cat. I'm going to take her home." And oddly enough, I had to take her home and quarantine her from the rest of the cats in my house because I had one other cat at that time, two other cats, I think. I had a cat named Mason and a cat named Bibbs. So I had to quarantine her in her own room, and I had to hand feed her little pills every day and use a little syringe to give her water, and I nursed her back to health. And when you foster an animal, all the medical care is free. So I was taking her in so she could get her medical care. And then once they said that she was all better, then I just adopted her and she became mine. And we were stuck together like glue since then. And there's been times, at times I was going, "What is wrong? She just didn't seem well. She didn't seem like she was healthy." So I didn't know if something was really mattered with her. But then she would always bounce back just about the time I would do this, mourning, thinking that that was it. And she would bounce back and everything would be fine. Oh my goodness. So we were just the best of friends. And we even used to, when I got in the shower, if I didn't have the shower door open, she would cry for me. She would howl for me. So I would start leaving the bathroom door open, and she would come and walk around the edge of the tub with me. And the whole time I was in the shower, she would either sit there, sometimes she would get in the bathtub while I was taking my shower, and she would just kind of walk around. I mean, we were like this, me and this cat. So that was kind of how we were. She was my buddy, she was my soulmate, she was my familiar. Um, that's just kind of how it was. And when I needed to make business cards, first time I made business cards, I just grabbed any old picture off my phone. So I grabbed this picture, which was from Halloween, which was, I'll say, 2009. So that's me with the cat face, and that's Epiphany, looking all big and puffy because I promised her that when I adopted her, I looked at her and I said, "A year from now, you're going to look like a big furry bowling ball." And that's what happened. She got really chubby. In my house, you can't be not chubby if you live in my house. We're all chubby. So this was my one of my first business cards. So Jennifer Blythe Arts, ordained minister with the Universal Life Church, pet blessings, wedding officiant, oracle reader. There's my phone number and my email address, Jennifer Blythe at Yahoo. So this is going to go down in history because I just thought that was the most beautiful picture of Epiphany, and I wanted to make sure that she was part of my business because she was my business. She was everything to me. And like I said, not all my kids liked her because she put them out. She was very dominant in the house. And that's just kind of how it was. And I let it be that way because I loved her. And she was a little cat. And I promised her that I was going to give her a good life. And I think I did because she's been very spoiled. And now she has what is called, they're calling it vestibular cat disease. And what happens with vestibular cat disease is that for some reason in their brain, very on the inside of their ear, makes them off balance. We also think she had a stroke because she can't use her right eye is blind. Um, she can't pick up her paws on her left side. She can't retract her claws the way a kitten or any other cat would. So I feel like, oh, and this here, she had a clump of fur that was stuck because she stopped bathing herself. So the vet was gracious enough to cut that off and clean it out. It wasn't dirty or anything, but you know how vets are. Got to charge an extra $20 to clean it out with an alcohol cotton ball. So, and she always, one of the reasons I think that she was surrendered, I think, is because she had a little bit of a bladder problem. She was very dominant. She did what she wanted. If people came over to my house and she didn't like the way they smelled, she warned me she would pee where they had been sitting. And she was always right, because those people turned out to be nasty people. So she was always right. She always had my back. And she was, in some way, we were very telepathy. We could talk telepathically because cats are always in alpha state. So I always knew what she wanted. And she didn't take to other people. She kind of liked my daughter that was there with me when we rescued her. And she liked David, my present husband. And a funny story, when I got her, I was married to my second husband, and he would get mad because I chose a cat over him. I rescued her just on a whim. I didn't discuss it with him. I just got the cat. But I'm going to do what I want. So that's what happened with that. So I rescued the cat, and I put her above him, which, probably why I'm divorced from him. But but then David came around, and Epiphany took to David like they were soulmates, like they were long lost best friends. So I let David keep coming around because the cat liked him. And the cats protect you. The cats will let you know what's good and what's bad. And the cat told me that he was okay. So David got to stay. So right now, she's wide awake. She's purring. But this is what she does. When I set her down on the floor, she walks around in circles because that's what her feline vestibular disease is doing to her. It's kind of tearing her brain apart the way Alzheimer's would in a person. And she's too dignified for me to let that happen. So we made the decision that now is a good time, because I'm not going to let her she's not going to lose her dignity with me. So, because this is a cat that I remember. And it's sad because in Facebook memories, there's lots of pictures of her, of course. And I have other cats. Right now, I have 2 other cats. But Epiphany is the star of the show. I love them. Trust me, I love them. But Epiphany is the star of the show. And she's the alpha cat. She's the alpha person in the house. And this is a dignified cat. Look at her. Look how beautiful. And I'm not going to let her be any more in misery than what she is now. So after talking to the vet did say that they do have bladder problems. So I also am a Reiki master, a Reiki practitioner. And so I've been doing lots of Reiki on her. And in one of the Reiki healings, it was revealed to me that she's had the bladder problem that she had was cancer. And then what's happened is that the cancer is just going through all of her body, and now it's at her brain. And I can't let her just be undignified anymore. So what I want to do, if she'll stay up here, is just sage both of us a little bit. You okay, baby? You okay? So I will show you a little bit how I sage. And whether you call it saging, cleansing, smudging, whatever you want to call it, you do what you do. I'll show you how I do it. What I need right now is definitely something to clear me because my whole aura right now is full of mourning because that's what's happening. So look at her little eye. Look at her little eye. Oh, she's so beautiful. My pretty baby. My pretty baby. You okay? You okay, baby? You okay, baby? Oh, you're my girl. You're my girl. Yeah. So she doesn't want to lay down when she wants me to hold her. She's my girl. So this is how I do my saging. And whatever definition or label you want to call it, you do your thing. I sage for different reasons. Right now, I'm saging just to clear my aura. I want to just, cleanse myself a little bit. And I'm hoping that my mourning is not going to stick with Epiphany because I don't want her to feel that I don't want her to cross. Because she deserves to be happy. And so here's how we do it. Okay, so I use, for right now, what I'm going to be doing is using a little bit of sage. A little bit of sage. Okay, baby. And I keep it in bundles, but I break some off. And I was in bed, by the way. It's like almost 2 o'clock in the morning when I first started doing this. I went live right at 1:44 on 11/24 because the numbers spoke to me. 1:44 on 11/24. So the number spoke to me. So I don't use a whole bundle because obviously that's what's going to happen. So we don't want that to happen. This is a crystal bowl. And in the bowl is obviously ashes and some matchsticks. And this is sand that one of my good friends, Tammy, brought me back from Florida because I've never been to Florida, but I would like to go to Florida. And I really have a fixation with palm trees because I've never seen one. So I'd like to go to Florida to see the palm trees and to see an ocean. I've never seen an ocean. So Tammy brought me back the sand, a little bit of sand from every single beach in the state of Florida. I just blew my mind when she did that. And she surprised me with it. I knew she was down there for a long time. She was down there for like a month. So when she came back, she had little baggies from every beach. And all the sand looked different, which I thought was crazy. I've never been to Florida. So where I am, we have lakes. So we have a lot of rocks and cans and garbage. So she brought me this back. And I thought, well, that would be perfect for when I do my saging. So I keep the sand in this. It's a crystal bowl. It's really heavy. Super, super heavy. I use my white sage that I get from Herbal Magic. If you're going to be doing your Black Friday shopping, go to Herbal Magic in Lockport for these kinds of things. and I use incense. My choice of incense is Nag Champa, and I keep my incense for specific reasons in specific containers. Put away. So this is Nag Champa, and this other bottle or this other box here is something called Vampire's Blood. I didn't like it. I think I got it last year or the year before on a Black Friday sale. So far everything I'm doing is all natural and dedicated space. This is a dedicated container for my incense that I dedicate for this reason. This bowl is dedicated for the sand because the sand was dedicated for me from my friend who brought it back as a gift because I had never been to an ocean and I've never seen a palm tree and I'd really like to go to a tropical climate to see what it's like. So she went to Florida and brought me back all the sand dedicated for me. My name was on all the baggies. So this white sage also, when I buy white sage for this reason, I go to this specific place, Herbal Magic in Lockport, New York. Herbal Magic. It's dedicated white sage from there for this reason. And this Nag Champa, I dedicate to clear my head when I want to feel better. I burn some Nag Champa. And I've burned several kinds. There's different scents to Nag Champa. I prefer to use the one that's in the blue and white box. That's just a scent that I really like. So here's how I'll do it. Okay, so I just relax myself. Shake it off, shake it off. I still have this little cat in my lap. And there's different ways that you can do this. So I'll show you both things. Some people call it saging, some people call it smudging, some people call it cleansing. To me, it all pretty much means the same thing. I know when I'm doing it, what I'm doing. And, you call it a peanut butter sandwich if you want to, as long as your intention of doing it is for the right reason. So I take this peanut butter sandwich to light this peanut butter sandwich. In any case, wooden matches. Strike anywhere matchsticks. Wood. It's got to be a natural substance. So here's what I'll do. I'll take a little piece of this sage here, which has already been burnt a little bit, but that's okay. And I'll start to burn the sage. The reason that I burn the sage first is because the sage cleanses what I need cleansing. When it's done burning, you can either let it burn out or you shake it. Shake it, shake it. You do not use your breath for this because your breath could have different intentions. Your breath isn't going to necessarily go where your mind wants to go. So to just cleanse me, I would just do this all around the cat. I cleanse you. I ask to release any negativity that Epiphany might be holding in her. From her beautiful little head all the way down to the tip of her beautiful tail, that she still feels like she's regal and beautiful and dignified. She still feels like it. Okay, keep in mind when I'm doing this, I'm doing it clockwise. So probably when you're seeing it, it will be counterclockwise. To me, this is clockwise. So in any case, when you're doing this, you want to, okay, so now we get into a full clearing, okay? So I'll do this in my office even. Sometimes I used to do it around my house, but I got a little bird now. So my bird can't be around the scents. So because it seems like it wants to burn out, because it does that. And that's the best reason to tear off a little piece instead of burning the whole chunk like that. So we want to, again, use the wood. You start burning your sage. When you're done burning it, you shake it. You don't use your breath. Your breath is called prana. Okay. So what I'll do, if I do this around my office, is I go around. So right here is my ancestor table, right here. So I'm doing it over my ancestor table. Okay. My books, all the energy out of my books, any negative energy, while I'm going clockwise. Okay. So this is to make me feel better. So I am starting to feel better. What I will do to do like a cleansing and a filling. I look great just getting out of bed, huh? I couldn't sleep. That's why I decided to do this. So this is my bed head. So I might say a little something like, okay, I'll cleanse my table here. So cleanse this space. For this is my sacred place. Cleanse this space. For this is my sacred place. Okay, now here's the key. Now I just cleanse this whole area that I'm in. Here's the most important part. And sometimes people don't do this part, and this is very important. While the smoke is still burning from the sage and it's cleansing the area, you want to get another scent in there. Another substance and another scent. So this is where my nag champa comes in. Okay. The reason for the nag champa is because I just cleansed this whole area, and I don't want to leave any doors open. If you're going to cleanse an area, remember, always do it clockwise. Okay. So if you're cleansing an area, you're cleansing it, but now you want to fill up that area with something else. So I use nag champa. Nag champa is also very good for intuitives. It helps bring out your third eye possibilities, your third eye strengths. Nag champa definitely influences intuitiveness. Okay, so I'm going to go back around and I'm going to fill this area up, my little bubble that I just cleansed and saturated with sage, going clockwise. This is now my sacred space. I'm putting my essence in here. I'm feeling strength. I'm feeling happy. I'm envisioning my little cat being strong and vibrant and playful and chasing the red dot and doing all the things that little cats do and looking regal like she was Bast, the Egyptian cat goddess. That's what my cat That's what my cat looks like, because that's what my cat is. She's beautiful and regal. Yeah, I know. Okay. So, still going clockwise. Now I just filled up that same space with my own essence. And I'm going to put it back in the sand and I'm going to let it burn out. And I still have the sage going. Funny thing about sage, sometimes it takes forever to burn down depending on how tight the clump is. And sometimes it just poof goes right away. So my advice when you're saging something, and this isn't when you're doing a crossing over, because I use these same things and some other things when I'm doing crossing over. I don't even know if I should do a video on that. I will do a video if anybody leaves me any comments. You know, if I get enough people who want to know how to do it, um, I'll, you know, leave some, I'll tell you how I do it. And I had a good teacher. I had the best. But for now, we won't even cross or get into crossing over, because what a crossing over is, if you have, or a release, some people call it a release. It means that if you have ghosts or spirits or entities that are still in your home because they've been there for a long time, sometimes they get trapped. That can also happen with animals, just so you know. And so we need to let our animals know that we thank them so much. I thank you, Epiphany. And that we appreciate them for spending all their time with us and blessing us with their presence, because we don't want them to still hang out. If they could be, you know, chasing butterflies or doing what it is that the animals do when they're over at the Rainbow Bridge talking to God. Would you want to keep anybody from God? I wouldn't, because I think that's how our pets get to us anyway. So, but a crossing over, I've done it a couple times. It's nothing to be taken lightly. It takes a long time to do. You need a candle. I use holy water and a little teeny tiny bit of oil. I use this. I use this and some holy water, my sage, some incense, and some words. And I will go through a place with a person that wants to have their property that they own. If they sense that there's somebody there who wants to be crossed over, then we'll do that. At the time of crossing over, I don't really pull out any of my intuitive or mediumship skills, because I'm not trying to get messages from anybody at that point in time. I'm there to do a job, and my job is to cross them over. I don't want to get into a conversation with somebody who is angry and is stuck in a realm that they don't want to be in, and they have the option to cross over. So I can open that door and let them cross over by just opening the door and showing them, there's a door. This is today's date. There's a door. You have the opportunity to go. We're not summoning anybody. The person who I might be helping to cross over, it's their choice if they want to or not. The last time I did it, it was two children, two siblings that were stuck together in a realm, and it was a really old house, and these two little kids had been siblings, a brother and a sister. They were really young, and how I found out about it was the house that I was living in happened to be next to a cemetery. or very close to a cemetery anyway. It's not right next door, but the cemetery was, a couple yards back. And one of my psychic friends came over one day, Dr. Mystical, his name is, and he was walking through my house and he kept hearing numbers, and he didn't know what the numbers were. I didn't know what the numbers were. And I was telling him, but I have a feeling, I said, I think there's a man and there's a little girl, because the little girl used to play with Epiphany. And maybe Piffy will go play with her now. Maybe you can go and play with her if you want to. You can go and play with her. She likes you. So the little girl would play with Epiphany. And I would tell my husband when we moved into this house, look, 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 look. And I would call him into the room, and we would see Epiphany rolled over on her back, batting at somebody at the air. And I was telling him, I think it's a little girl that's playing with her. So when Dr. Mystical came over, he kept hearing these numbers. I said, I don't have a clue what those numbers are. I don't know. But I was at work one day and I remembered we had this cemetery behind the house. So I did some research. I looked up in the cemetery, and it was really old, back to the 1800s. And there was two cemetery plots that had numbers that were the numbers that he was hearing. And I looked up both of their names. I don't remember the boy, but the little girl was like 9 years old, and the little boy was 6. They both died in the same year of the flu. And it was terrible. Back in the 1800s in Western New York, dying of the flu. It's a real thing. It gets really cold here, and people are always sick with something. So, pandemic or not, people are always sick with something. So, call it the flu, call it pandemic, call it what you want. In any case, this little girl died. And that's who Epiphany was playing with. And I felt so bad, because who wants to keep children from God? I don't. So I did this crossing over, and I asked some assistance from my teacher. She told me how she did it. Um, and I did this crossing over, and this little girl, I think, was trying to hold on to Epiphany because Epiphany was acting crazy. And all of her hair got big, and she was acting like a cat who somebody was pulling on her tail, because I think that this little girl was trying to reach for Epiphany but she did decide to cross over, her and her brother. And the man on the stairs, I called him, he decided to stay, which was fine. My husband was a little freaked out, but whatever. So we ended up moving from there anyways, but I'm sure the man on the stairs is still there. So the reason it takes a long time when you're doing that is because you have to wait for the candle to burn out. So I got a candle that was this big when I did it, not realizing that the candle would burn for 12 hours. I didn't read the label, but the candle guaranteed to burn for 12 hours. So you have to put it inside something that will not let the flame go out, but is also safe, like the middle of a sink, as long as there's no, curtains nearby or anything. So I did that. So I feel better that I saged and that I introduced Epiphany to everybody. Epiphany Blythe, like my name, Jennifer Blythe, which in case you haven't watched any of my other videos, Blythe is my middle name, like Peggy Sue, Mary Beth, Jennifer Blythe, like that. So Nichols is my last name, Jennifer Blythe Nichols. So I'm glad that I had this little talk and that I got to introduce Epiphany, and she feels way more relaxed. And tomorrow at this time, I might look back because I won't be able to hold her. But she'll be so much happier because she will look like this Epiphany. Very regal. Goddess like Bast. And maybe she'll find that little girl. I'm not sure. But I know, baby. My girl. I love you. So, thanks for watching. Tell your animals how much you love them and that you appreciate all the help that they've given you, because she's given me a lot of help. She's helped me with a lot emotionally. When I had a really bad MS attack and I couldn't get out of bed because I couldn't hardly walk, she stayed in bed with me and she would lay with me purring. She helped me get through it. And she spoke with me with telepathy, and she let me know people that were in my house that she didn't like, so they never came back. So, and as you can see, the smoke is, the energies are moving in here. Moving and grooving. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, and they're letting me know that they're going to carry her over safely. And she won't have this ridiculous spot on her back anymore. And you won't feel her spine sticking out. And she'll be able to stand up proud and pounce on things. It's going to all be good. So, say goodbye. Piffy, say goodbye. So, we'll just remember this, Epiphany. Okay, so I'll see you next time for Mystic Moment. And right now I can't even think about what we would talk about next time. So, some comments would be great. So anything in the mystic world. If I don't know about it, I'll find the answer, because I like to learn things all the time. So please let me know. And in the meantime, if you could just send me good energy, I would really appreciate it, because I'm going to be sad for a little while. So she's a purring little baby. Okay, peace out. God bless. This is the time for the light workers to come out. If you think you have a gift, whatever it is, you think you have something to say that's been given to you by God, this is the time for the godly people to come out. This is the time for the light workers to come out. Whatever religion you are, if you believe that you've been given a gift, this is the time for the light workers to come out. Don't be afraid. So, peace. Take care from me and Epiphany. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay. Good night.